Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies, members of parliament, governors, senators, good afternoon. Is it good evening? I'm Jambo. First, let me thank all of you for finding time so that we can share these moments together. I know we have speakers in our midst. The chair of the parliamentary group, my good brother from Wajir North, from Mandera North, the honorable members of the pastoralist parliamentary group, and I agree that this is the largest caucus in the Parliament of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly happy to be here with you today so that we can open the 13th Parliament's induction workshop for members of this great group. I take this opportunity to congratulate all of you on winning your constituencies and county seats and the confidence your people have demonstrated in your leadership, and I hope that you will take the privilege of leadership and serve with diligence. I consider the PPG an illustrious organization dedicated to the noble task of achieving critical constitutional values and principles of governance by mainstreaming the agenda of constituencies, communities, counties, and sectors that were previously marginalized. Through formulating policies and strategies to redress the inequality and suffering resulting from this neglect, the PPG ensures that Kenya lives up to its promise to become an inclusive society. It therefore exists, that is PPG, to hold Kenya to its word, that it would be guided by the principle of devolution, sharing of power, and sharing of resources. The group began agitating for the actualization of this promise long before it was codified in our Constitution, and its principal commitments are the reason why I have been proudly associated with its vision from my early days as a newly elected member of Parliament in 1998. That's quite a while now, I guess. After the last election, I wasn't too sure whether I should continue to be a proud member. Kwa sababu wengi wenu mliniwacha kwa mataa. It is essential to state at this point that I have never subscribed to the disastrously mistaken notion that the pastoralist regions, which are principally arid and semi-arid, have been low potential areas. Neither do I support policies which deny these regions development on these or other grounds because there are no lesser or greater Kenyans. We are all equal. I wish to state that we have made tremendous progress in articulating the immense potential of the pastoral ASAL rangelands, which has resulted in new affirmative perspectives in the national policy making and development leadership. ASALs, which cover nearly 70% of Kenya's landmass, house tremendous wealth and store immense resources which can inject impetus to our transformational race on an unprecedented scale. To access and exploit this potential, we now recognize that three distinct sets of interventions are necessary and call for urgent and effective action. First of all, Climate change. Recurrent drought and adverse climatic conditions make Kenya's pastoral rangelands vulnerable to devastating disruptions and suffering. Starvation of people and the loss of animals form part of the catalogue of harrowing tragedies that are familiar occurrences in this region. We've just heard that in this drought, we have lost 2.5 million heads of livestock, estimated at 150 billion Kenyan shillings. That is phenomenal by any count. Secondly, insecurity and violent conflicts are notorious events in pastoral rangelands, driven by cultural incentives, organized crime, ethnic misunderstanding, competition for scarce pastures and water resources, and land ownership disputes. During drought, these threats intensify, causing unbearable suffering. Thirdly, a hostile official stance since independence and formalized in a policy promulgated 4 years after independence, designating ourselves as low potential areas, institutionalized the official marginalization of these regions with iniquitous and unacceptable consequences. The provision of public goods ranged between inadequate, intermittent, and altogether sometimes non-existent. As a result, human welfare stagnated as the rest of the country registered steady improvements in health, nutrition, education, income, and other outcomes. Insecurity and climatic adversity compounded the vulnerabilities resulting from meager public goods. The combination of these drivers of vulnerability have been devastating, and its effects reverberate even now in the second decade of the 21st century. We have a moral and constitutional obligation to take all necessary measures to significantly mitigate pastoral vulnerability and enhance the place of ourselves as the locus of tremendous developmental potential. It is not possible for us to discuss the development of Kenya if we are not discussing the development of 70% of Kenya. It is not realistic. We must press on with great determination in advancing our agenda to unlock the full potential of other areas, especially through our Northern Frontier counties transformation strategies. I tried to have a conversation with the Northern Frontier counties before the last election, but it was not possible because of the complications of the elections that time. The time has come for us to develop a robust framework of collaboration that will establish lasting peace and security throughout our pastoral rangelands. This will enable us partner effectively in denying Al-Shabaab a catchment area for recruitment of lawless territory to operate from, eradicating livestock thefts, and ending senseless inter-ethnic violence. We must also deal with the root causes that sustain trafficking in illegal small arms and remove all illegal firearms from the wrong hands. I agree with you that we must disarm all people who have illegal arms in their hands. And to achieve this, we must mobilize relentlessly and deploy all efforts to deliver peace and security. We are determined to bring cattle rustling, banditry, ethnic violence, and other drivers of insecurity to an end. Let me repeat. we are determined to bring cattle rustling, banditry, ethnic violence, and other drivers of insecurity to an end. I take it as an assignment. And to do this, we shall take necessary measures with firmness and resolve. I hope none of you is going to put a telephone call to me. I hope nobody is going to send me WhatsApp, not even on Signal, to try and mitigate what the government is going to do. I urge you as leaders to do your part. History has assigned this purpose to us, and we must each commit to do our part. I can see you're silent because I think there are some amongst us who are not committed. Good people. These are our people. This is our electorate. These are the people who have elected us. And I want to encourage honorable members to play your role effectively, including through vigorous oversight, peace building, sensitization and public awareness campaigns, as well as initiatives to demonstrate the advantages of inter-ethnic harmony and collaboration. Many of us cannot stand on podia to talk against cattle rustling. Any leader who cannot stand and tell his people to stop stealing cattle is not worth any straw of leadership. And we must say the things we say during the day, we must also say the same things at night. Some of the measures we have instituted to deliver peace and security includes training and arming more reservists and deploying more personnel from our disciplined forces. There are additional steps we are going to take to make sure that for the first time we put this menace behind us. I urge members to support and complement these efforts. This induction workshop takes place when we are in the throes of a devastating drought whose severity has not been experienced in 40 years and whose reverberations continue to shock our economy. The ASAL regions have borne the brunt of this calamity, and our pastoral communities have suffered unbearable losses in lives and livelihoods. This drought underscored the deadly emergence of the three principal drivers of ASAL vulnerability and underdevelopment. It is time to engage in sustainable and inclusive mitigation and resilience building mechanisms and to invest resources, especially allocations from the Equalization Fund, to undertake appropriate projects on a large scale throughout our pastoral rangelands. To date, the fund has disbursed a total of 10.3 billion to ministries, implementing 352 identified projects in 14 marginalized counties. The Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill 2022, amounting to 13.9 billion, has meanwhile been forwarded to Parliament by my administration. Many of these key interventions will require your commitment and your committed support. We have established drought risk management as a high priority intervention to be undertaken throughout a dedicated and specialized organization, the National Drought Management Authority's principal mandate will be to provide a platform for long-term planning and an adequate framework to guide necessary interventions. It will also provide a platform for effective coordination across government and among all stakeholders. The government is committed to empowering the authority, especially by strengthening the drought early warning system and making it responsive by linking it to anticipatory and remedial actions to cushion lives and livelihoods before drought intensifies. In the first decade of the devolution era, 15 PPG counties have jointly received more than R1 trillion shillings, yet remain immensely vulnerable to drought. I urge county governments to collaborate more effectively with national government agencies to bring drought emergencies to an end. And as I speak to those of us who are sitting here, I have to say this, that we must stop electing leaders on the basis of their ethnicity or clans. Let me repeat. I have said this before, I will say it again. We must stop, as pastoralists, electing leaders on the basis of clans. Let us elect leaders on the basis of their ability, their vision, and their agenda. Seriously, anybody will not be able to identify R1 trillion shillings that has been spent in our counties. Part of the marginalization in the ASAL counties is by ourselves. If we elect people whose only loyalty is to their clan and their kinsmen, they will use all the money to satisfy their clans, their kinsmen, their relatives. The rest of the counties and people in counties end up suffering. I have been an ardent supporter of the sharing of resources that goes to counties, especially in the arid and semi-arid areas. But I am beginning to ask myself whether this is a viable enterprise anymore. If we cannot justify the amount of money we are spending in our ASAL counties because it is being abused and misused and stolen, then it becomes very difficult to continue justifying why we are pushing these resources to these counties. Again, let me say this without fear of any contradiction, and I have said to my good brothers and sisters who are pastoralists, let us stop electing people on the basis of their clans. Let us elect people on the basis of their ability, their agenda, and their vision. Unless and until we do that, we will continue to marginalize ourselves. And we will continue. No amount of resources is enough for anybody who is being driven by interest other than the vision and the plan they have for their county or their constituency. We have enough positions to elect people. We can elect clan elders, on the basis of clans and clan chiefs and class chieftains and whatever. But surely, if we must stop this nonsense. I must say this. Once upon a time, and let me say this just for the record and for whatever it's worth in terms of history. In Mandera County in 2013, we had elections, and in the subsequent elections, which was done through clan, primaries and things like those. Then in the next election, the clan elders decided that everybody who had been elected, all the 20-something MCAs, all the 6 MPs, women rep, governor, senator, should be removed and replaced by others. And I was wondering, how is this going to happen? And they were very serious, by the way. And I sat down with them and I disagreed with them, and I told them, look, this is not right. Yeah? They became my enemies temporarily. But finally, they realized that I was also serious and it was not the right thing to do. I will continue to tell my brothers and sisters who are pastoralists, let us stop the clan primaries. They are destroying our democracy, and they are destroying our counties, and they are destroying our pastoral areas, and we are getting it wrong. Let us elect people on the basis of their ability. I know many people will fault me, but that is unfortunately my position, and I believe that that is the direction we should go. Already, the NDMA is contributing to ameliorating the effects of the ongoing drought by implementing the government's hunger safety net, through which it has disbursed cash transfers to 101,800 households in Turkana, Mandera, Wajir, and Marsabit. The program is now due for expansion to cover an additional 32,000 vulnerable households in Isiolo, Garissa, Tana River, and Samburu. The NDMA has presence in all the 23 ASAL counties and is undertaking its planning through inclusive participatory processes that incorporate ward-level scenarios and strategic components. I urge the honorable members of this PPG to make their contribution to these processes and end drought emergencies in our counties. Drought emergency response has always disrupted government by inflicting counterproductive trade-offs which compel us to rob Peter to pay Paul. To stop this, government has now established the National Drought Emergency Fund, a multi-donor instrument aimed at mobilizing resources and ensuring that at all times, funds are available for drought preparedness, response, and recovery. It is also intended to complement NDMA by linking drought early warning mechanisms to effective early action. We have committed Kenya shillings 2 billion to this fund annually. Since this dedicated standby resource pool is essentially a common basket fund, we invite our development partners to join us in growing it to strengthen our drought emergency capacity. It is now nearly 7 years since the Community Land Act was enacted. Not one parcel of community land has since been registered, and that is not encouraging by any standard. The enormous potential of the pastoral rangelands in our ASAL regions comprises land and its abundant natural resources. Clarification of land rights will also go a long way to prevent conflicts and insecurity arising from contested claims of pasturing and land use claims. It is time to implement the Act, and I am giving you my firm commitment that the registration of trust land in the name of pastoral communities of the region in which it is placed is going to be a priority of my administration. I have been informed and welcome with appreciation your intention to formulate through legislation a natural resource benefit sharing framework. I note that the framework will cover income from tourism and wildlife and mineral resources on community lands. I am particularly appreciative of your dedication and mindfulness in contemplating the novel and innovative rangeland soil carbon project in which Kenya is a global leader. I spoke about this exciting soil carbon model at the COP27 summit recently. I'm also pleased with the exemplary Kenyan project, which is a singular global pioneer and largest in the world, focusing entirely on soil carbon removal through sustainable grazing management. The project, I note, is on course to achieve its inspiring target of removing 50 metric tons of carbon dioxide from the ecosystem over the next 30 years. I want to reiterate to this gathering that significant infrastructural expansion into the northern counties is firmly set to commence. We are committed to opening up the region and connecting it to local, regional, and international markets in order to unlock its dramatic development potential through the efficient movement of goods and services. More specifically, I have instructed the minister, who is also a pastoralist here, that the road from Lamu to Garissa and to Isiolo, which was built as a Maram road, must now be upgraded to a tarmac road. That 500 kilometers of road is necessary to connect the various counties of Lamu, Isiolo, and Garissa. And I have given a date. I will shortly be coming to launch the road from Isiolo, Kulamawe, to Mandera, a 740 kilometers of tarmac road. And with it, 940 kilometers of fiber cable along the road into schools and other administrative centers, including markets. This is a project that I have tried to push the last 5 years. It stalled somewhere midway for political reasons, but I want to assure you that we are going to build that road, and I will personally supervise to make sure that it is done on time. I have also instructed that as we build that road, as part of what we had negotiated with development partners, over 100 billion Kenya shillings for our northern frontier counties, that included the construction of the road, the building of water projects, the connection of electricity, will also include abattoirs, because I have heard some of the interventions you have made or you have requested. We will also include some water projects, including boreholes, as has been mentioned by one of us here. I also want you to know that as part of the program that I have announced in matters dealing with our food security situation in the country, it is now necessary, because of the challenges we have with climate change and the areas we are using for food production, that we now need to move our agriculture under irrigation from 600,000 acres to 3 million acres. Majority of the acreage under irrigation will largely be in our arid and semi-arid areas. As I have said, part of my commitment in water harvesting, as has been said here, is to build the first 100 large dams. This will include the Crocodile Jaw dam in Isiolo. It will include the dam in Wajir, which was done halfway. It will include, that's in Bute. It will include Lowat Dam in Turkana. It will include Radat Dam in Baringo, and many of the others. And we have also set to do 1,000 smaller dams for water harvesting, because water harvesting is going to be a primary mitigation and adaptation mechanism for us to provide water for our livestock and for irrigation. More investment in the generation of low-cost renewable energy and connecting more households to clean and affordable energy is among the key enabling infrastructural interventions that the government of Kenya is committed to undertake over the next 5 years. I also want to bring to your attention our commitment for the creation of a market as well as value addition with regard to our livestock sector. The regeneration of the livestock economy is important, especially in uplifting the poor and vulnerable pastoralist majority. The production of good quality skin, including its recovery from animals that die from causes such as drought and accidents, goes some way to maximize livestock value. Very, very specifically, when we went around the country in our economic forums, the one thing that came out from all the pastoralist counties is the livestock economy. I also want to give you my commitment that because we have the third largest herd of livestock in Africa, we should leverage the biggest benefit from the livestock economy, both in terms of meat and livestock products. You have my commitment in investments in the entire livestock value chain, from the meat and livestock products, and that is part of what we envisage to do in our industrial city in Naivasha. We will work with the abattoirs across the country, but we will work with some of the big leather product manufacturers around the world out of Naivasha, so that we can tap into the green energy resources we have there and be able to market our products as green products. I have therefore directed Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development to take measures to implement the 2016 Executive Order establishing Livestock Development and Marketing Authority without any further delay. We have come a long way to mainstream our pastoral rangelands as the engine of national economic transformation. I acknowledge that expectations are high for very well-known reasons. Let me confirm that we will work hard to exceed those expectations and deliver the transformation of the pastoralist regions and rangeland economy that you keenly anticipate under this administration. That is the purpose of our long-running engagement over the course of the last 3 decades. It is also a matter of fundamental economic and socio-political justice, and I intend to keep my commitment. All I ask you as members of the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group is for all of us to agree that the election season is now behind us. We need to close our ranks, work together for the good of the people of Kenya. I have absolute respect for everybody's choice. You have absolutely no reason to apologize for voting the way you voted, because that is everybody's democratic choice. What now behoves us is that now that the election is behind us, we need to close ranks, we need to work together for the good of the people who elected all of us. I want to take also this opportunity to respectfully ask our friends in the opposition to work with us, hold us to account, criticize our plan, criticize our agenda, but don't drive people to the streets. Don't drive people to conflict and violence. It doesn't serve anybody's interest. I think we need to be clear. Let us have a competition of ideas. Let us have a competition of strategy. Let us not have a competition of conflict. Let us not have a competition of street fights. It doesn't benefit anybody. I want to say with utmost respect that we need time as a country to rebuild our economy. We are now beginning to see signs of the international community coming around and working with us to rebuild our economy so that we can pull our country out of debt. We are beginning to see signs of working with the private sector to deliver on our private-public partnerships so that we can develop we can develop our program around housing, so that we can develop our program around water harvesting. We are steadfast on ensuring that our police, that had been reduced to being enemies of its own people instead of protecting people. We are finding people in rivers who have been killed by the very police that were supposed to be looking after them. We need time to rebuild our security agencies so that they can serve their mandate as is required of them by the Constitution. Our friends need to realize that we need to rebuild our country, we need to rebuild our economy. They cannot be telling us at this point in time that they want us to go to the streets. They want us to go to conflict. Jameni, mimi nawauliza. Hata ndugu zetu walio pinzani, tunawaheshimu, wako na majukumu ya kikatiba ya kuhakikisha kwamba serikali inafanya ile kazi ambayo tumepatiwa kikatiba. Wao wafanye kazi yao, lakini wawache fujo na wawache maandamano na waache mambo ya conflict kupiganisha Wakenya. Tunahitaji muda wa kujenga nchi na kujenga uchumi na kurekebisha mahali ambapo pameharibika, na hiyo jukumu inatuhitaji sisi zote kufanya kazi kwa kuelewana kwa pamoja. Kufanya fujo na kutuambia ya kwamba wanataka ati wapange maandamano na fujo, hiyo ni kutubeba ufala ya kilograms nyingi sana. Hiyo haiwezekani. Honestly, I think we really have to be honest with ourselves. The least we need is that kind of action. But if they choose, that is their choice. You know, Kenya will move on. They used threats, intimidation, and blackmail to do whatever they were doing. I think there are fewer people now in Kenya who can take threats, intimidation, and blackmail anymore. Kenya wants to move on. I think threats, blackmail, and intimidation of mass action and the rest of it will not change the course of our destiny. We are firmly on course. And I want to say, for the avoidance of doubt, I have lived through many threats, blackmail, and intimidation. So nobody is going to threaten me or blackmail me to do the things they want. I will do the things the people of Kenya want. Many of my good brothers have already positioned themselves and their families in positions. Let them give me an opportunity to try and secure jobs for the rest of Kenyans who are not members of their families. Tafadhali, please, tusaidiane, si ndio? Sasa nyinyi wangwana, si tuheshimiane kidogo. Nyinyi mumepanga mambo yenu, mumepanga mambo ya familia zenu, ndugu zenu, dada zenu, watoto wenu, alafu mnataka kupeleka watoto ya Wakenya wengine kwa maandamano. Bana, hiyo ni ufala ya kilograms nyingi sana. Hiyo haiwezekani hiyo. Watupatie nafasi hata na sisi tupange nafasi ya ajira na biashara kwa watoto wa Wakenya wengine ambao sio familia zao ama watoto wao. Let them give us a bit of time. We organize the country. Tumekubaliana, my friends? Na ni kwa heshima tu tunauliza, hakuna hatujalazimisha mtu. Tunaulizana kwa heshima. Tafadhali. With those many remarks, good people, I declare the 13th Parliament's Pastoralist Parliamentary Group Members Induction Workshop officially opened. God bless you and congratulations. Mungu awabariki sana.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais. Nitaomba sote sasa tuweze kuwa wima ili tuweze kumaliza sherehe yetu ya leo kwa wimbo wa taifa.